give you all the background slides while we're there. So who are we? Dezign Digital. We are an agency, but it kind of takes the warmth away. So I'd say we're more of a partner with your business. We're open book and you see our results and we work on them together. Our motto is make potential possible. We're a Google partner, Australian web industry partner, and we're on the way with that last hoop with the Meta, the Instagram, Facebook partner. So we're getting there, ticking all those boxes. This is what we do. It looks like a lot, but really what we do well is websites and digital marketing. That's our core skills. If you have anything to do, or you just need to ask a question, feel free to just email me and say, Anthony, what would you do here? This is what my marketing guy is saying on digital marketing. What do you think? I'm happy just to point you in the right direction. It's better in District 32, we all get the right answer than the wrong answer. It's not a problem for me, so use me up. I always put this slide up. So I Googled the stats, the Gartner quadrants on what works best. So where should you actually spend your money as a business? SEO, paid marketing, your website, and social media. The best 4 things, all under the digital marketing heading. All of this, so whenever you speak to your marketing person, they should always be talking to you about a whole 360-degree marketing strategy. You might be good at one thing and you might employ them to do another, but try and do a little bit of everything. Okay, today's outcomes of the event. I'm going to give you some technical SEO basics. We're going to talk about website structure. We're going to talk about crawling and indexing, speed and performance, mobile friendliness, and HTTPS. You've heard me talk about, so my first webinar was about local SEO. My second webinar was about organic SEO. So today we're going to talk about technical SEO. And I sort of said, what's this going to be about? How will you feel? I feel like you'll probably be a little bit overwhelmed at the end of this, but that will be normal, totally normal. It's more technical. This is one of my favorite topics. So we, just think we've warmed you up with those other 2. There's a webinar somewhere, and this will give you the basics to talk to your digital marketing person. And look, I've chosen to make this WordPress based because that accounts for about 75% of websites out there. If you have a different one, a different CMS, feel free to pop in and ask questions. No trouble at all. So I thought, recap what we've talked about. Technical, it's the foundation of your website. The local SEO, what we've talked about is, Google My Business, the neighborhood, the near me searches. It's how you're going to get recognized in your local areas. Organic SEO is like the curb appeal of your house, where it's, okay, what do you want your customers to type into Google? That's what. So if you were Googling yourself, you're a customer, what would you type into Google and want your business to come up with? That's keywords and a part of organic SEO. So on to technical SEO. Why does it matter? So technical SEO are all the things we do to make your website as attractive as possible to search engines. It's really to give your website a competitive advantage over your competitors. I mean, that's why we really do it. And there's a few thoughts that you need to think about, and hopefully this is going to provide you the answers to sort of get you thinking about what can I do, or what can I start on this journey? I wanted to pull up some stats. So I got some really good stats today. So a website is created every 3 seconds. So 75 websites a minute, 10,000 an hour, 250,000 per day. Nuts. So because I'm back, because I'm a little bit old now, we say back in the old days, we used to be able to rank websites pretty simply. Now, if you're not doing some form of SEO, it's impossible. You will never be seen. So in 2024, the stat is there's going to be 1.5 billion websites out there. Over 200 million of them, the good news is, actively maintained and visited. So the other, was it 1.3 billion? They aren't visited because they're not maintained. So the average conversion for a website these days, so if you have a business website or an e-commerce website, the average conversion is between 2 to 4%. It's not high, is it? But those are the industry stats. So I thought I'd start small. So what can you guys do? And I thought I'd give you stuff that you can actually look up. So if you are able to, let's have a look at the industry tool, Google Page Insights. So this reports on your customers. This is how Google sees your website. It sort of reports on the user experience and the user interface. So if you've got your browser open, pop it in. Let's put in our website. So here's one I prepared earlier with Dezign Digital. On our desktop, we get 91 performance. Anything above 80% or 90 is pretty decent. Accessibility, best practices, and SEO. It'll also do your mobile. Mobile is a bit harder. So they've sort of ranked us down to 88, which is still a great score. 90 is where it becomes green. If you're any reds, you need to do work on your website. So that's just something simple, fast you can do to see where you're at. I often get asked, how quick should a website display? So according to Google, it's more likely 3 seconds, but it's between that 3 to 5 second slot. So check out your own website. When do we start thinking about technical SEO? Well, it's kind of been an afterthought. We usually build websites and then it's kind of another service. But if you're building a website from scratch, really you want to start building and thinking about it right then. Okay. So having a fast website, why? Why do we want that? Google looks at about 5,000 different metrics, of which we know less than 1% of, apparently. So we know what moves the needle. But if you have two websites, you and a competitor side by side, and you have a faster, you've done all this, you will rank above your competitor's website. There's, another 5,000 other factors, but this is on your way to ranking above competitors. And that's what we're here for. And that's in the business community. That's what we really want to do. The next thing we talk about is mobile friendliness. Who's checked out their website for mobiles? I mean, you might pull it up on your mobile phone, but there's just so many different mobile phone types, sizes, iPads, iPad minis, Samsung. There's just so many of them. The way the world is going, I think 80% of the world's top brands are mobile friendly, what they call mobile friendly. And historically, it's all been about the desktop. Now, when we're doing our digital marketing reports, probably about 70% of all visits now comes from a mobile phone. Huge. There's a lot of businesses that buck the trend. So if you've got a bricks and mortar business, where people want to see, I don't know, furniture, for example, I've got a furniture business, desktop is still 70, 80%. A 3PL business, desktop is still 70, 80%. It's really fascinating. And the new trend is to make your website accessible. So blind people as well, we build it to make sure that it's high contrast, or they can toggle settings so they'll be able to see it as well. Doing the right thing. How do we test our mobile friendliness? Does anybody know? Lucky, I'm going to tell you. So the most easiest way I find, Google Search Console. So if you hooked your website up to Google Search Console, everything is in there. But also, if you come into, say, any browser and more tools, you've got this little developer tools here. And what it allows you to do is up the top here, see how your website would look with different mobile and different browsers. So you can have a look, is it appropriate? My D sort of getting cut off there. Okay, Surface Duo is a new one, or desktop is perfect. iPhone 14 Pro Max, that's going to be 90% of it, or a Samsung Galaxy. So if you've got those sorted, you're in good stead. So again, that's just the 3 dots, more tools, developer tools. Just turn that off. Your SEO people will talk about mobile responsiveness as well. And mobile responsiveness is just a big word for, hey, making it fit in all the different types of screens there are out there. So you've got a website, and hey, well, as I make it smaller, it should adjust and still say pretty enough to tell the story. And that's mobile responsiveness. And that's what you need for your website and your customers. Okay, the biggest thing that'll move the needle with that Google page speed is compressing your images. The amount of times that we come across, and on the front page is we love this image, or Mark's made us a beautiful logo, and they've taken the images from Mark and they've put it in, 50 meg on the front page, or some sort of video on the front page, and it will get a terrible response because on a printer, it's going to look great, 300 DPI, 600 DPI. Computer screens are 72 dots per inch DPI. You don't need to. It just needs to maintain that resolution. So still be pretty, like what you're seeing, but the minimum file size, the smaller the file size, smaller the file size, the quicker it will load and the happier your customers will be. So there are lots of tools out there that you can load and it will do it for you. So if you're not an expert, so one that I love is Convert Images. So here it is. So this is a WordPress plugin, and convert all your images to WebP. There's a new format coming out called AVIF. Browsers aren't quite there yet with it, so the browser has to catch up, but it's even the next level of compression. This guy charges for AVIF, but everything to WebP is free. So jump on, convert everything to WebP, away you go. It'll do it for you automatically. There's a bulk conversion button, press it, away you go. Happy days. Do a test before, do a page speed test before, and a page speed test afterwards. See if you've moved the needle. All right. When you're building a website, this is the boring stuff that developers go through. So what's your website architecture? Have you set it out really good for search engines? So search engines will come along and they will try and categorize your website based on what it's seeing. So have you identified, hey, obviously here's my homepage, and then like a good Visio diagram, what's the tree? What's the flow? If you have products, like the example here, living room, sofas, coffee tables, those are your 3 levels of products, dining room, dining tables, so on and so forth. So have you got a really good structure that a search engine, when they come along to index and crawl your website, it's going to make sense to them? And I'll go into a bit more detail. So here's what we call the domain, subdirectory. Really, to keep it super simple, you're going to have, I don't know, deankeating.com/D32. And then after that, you might have /CBD Hillary's, or, your area. And then after that, you might have a person. So you can see the tree is really defined. And as the search engine comes across, if we use the example here is best SEO practices, it knows that, hey, I'm going to categorize this as a best SEO practice. Don't use these joining words or stop words. They're bad. And we'll talk about this other thing later on. A little bit technical, but is everybody following along? I'm trying to keep it as high level as possible. And if you need anything, sing out. No stress at all. Mark, I'm conscious I've got 10 minutes. All right. XML sitemap. This is kind of what your website converts into search engine speak to tell the search engine where to go. And most of your SEO plugins will do this. So, for example, on our Dezign digital website, we use Yoast. And if you have a sitemap, you can just come along. So your website name / sitemap _ index.xml. And this gives you what your search engine is seeing. So if I look at my pages, these are the pages, and this is what I've tried to do. So the root directory, designdigital.com, portfolios, and then hopefully under portfolios, as we go down, you'll see the different websites we've built as well. And here are the other pages, project managers, SEO optimized content. So hopefully Google will pick up that and give us a boost for SEO optimized content. But obviously Nick's the best at that, aren't you, Nick? Plug. So posts, here are our posts. So it's really just talking to your search engine. And this is something you can check out yourself. If you don't see a sitemap, then straight away, great test, something you can do to fix straight away. I'm just assuming as I am talking that is, you're seeing what I'm seeing with the web page coming down. Okay. Crawling. So crawling is the discovery of web pages. An index is slightly different. That should be an S. Indexing is storing, analyzing, and organizing the content. And there's a key difference. Google will promote us if we're doing the right thing, but they'll also give us a penalty, funnily enough, if we're doing the wrong thing. So it's finding that balance on your website. And I'll show you a couple of things that attract a Google penalty. So the biggest thing we see are broken links. Do I have? No. Thought I had an example here. So does everybody know what a broken link is? It's a page on your website that used to exist, like maybe you've got District 32 / CBD, and CBD has been changed to Perth. So we've renamed that URL. Google has indexed that URL. So when somebody clicks on it, that link goes nowhere. If Google sees that, massive penalty. It'll start to push down your website. They're pretty aggressive about it. How can you look through your own website? Here is a free, unbelievable plugin. It'll go through your website and tell you if there's any broken links. And it'll tell you what to address. And you can go ahead and do that yourself. So something, again, actionable that you can do if you don't have a good relationship with your web developer. Great thing. There's also another way. You can type into Google. If we go to Google, you can type in site : Dezign digital.com. And this will show us all the URLs that Google has currently indexed. So all this is available from Google Search Console as well. But if you're not really up on that, super simple way that you guys can do this. Site, your website. And you might go through this and you might say, hey, I can't see my page for XXX. And you know you've got a problem. Again, and then you can action it. Time check, 4:25.
Anthony?
Yes.
Is this all stuff that your web developer, if you use one, should be doing?
Yes and no. So funnily enough, historically, no, never, ever. And it's actually an added service most of the time. There's definitely a merging, some of the stuff, some of the thought process absolutely needs to happen now as the world is evolving. So if your website is older than 12 months, I wouldn't have thought that they would have thought about this more and more.
Anthony, can I ask a question?
Of course.
Would it not be in a support scenario where all that would be checked?
If you've got a maintenance plan that includes that, so there's a lot of different website companies and a lot of different maintenance plans. For example, we have kind of our bronze, silver, gold plans just to distinguish them. Your bronze is, as we all know, being a District 32, your low barrier to entry. So it's just to get the customer along on the journey. And for us, we don't include that. So for silver, which is where you really want your customers to be and above, that's where you start to see it in website care plans, but everybody's different. So definitely consult with your website person, your digital marketing person. I would your digital marketing person should know what they're doing, and your website person should as well. It kind of borders the two job descriptions though. And unfortunately, sometimes in Perth, it's actually unusual. Some people are just digital marketing houses with no developer experience, and some people are developers with no digital marketing experience. So check them out, and plug here if you need any help. Just sing out. What do we got? Robots. There are also some URLs on your website that you don't want Google to index. So we put those in what's called a robot.txt file. So as Google's coming along, scraping your website, it looks at this file to say, hey, don't scrape my login URL. Don't any data or any photos or those type of directories, please don't index. What you can do, it's just your website, again, like the sitemaps /robot.txt. Heaps of examples on the internet. And that's what it says here. So I say, hey, allow here, but don't allow my admin login. Disallow all these other tags that a search engine might have problem with. So we build that out depending on the customer. Super simple. Another thing you can do yourself. And if you don't have one, hey, look into getting one. So what I thought in the last few minutes, and I know we're tight on time again, is just go over the other terms that you've probably heard from your digital marketing or SEO company. So I can give you sort of that basis so you can have a conversation with them. Some are technical, some are pretty common. Let's see how we go. Ask as many questions as you want. HTTPS, big penalty. In this day and age, I still see the odd website that doesn't have what's called an SSL security certificate. Really weird. Most hosting companies now will give it to you for free. All our customers, we give it for free. If you're a massive company, you might want to purchase some sort of special one, but it's unusual now not to see HTTPS, and if you don't, Google will give you one of the bigger penalties and push you down the list. Breadcrumbs. So what are breadcrumbs? I've often heard it asked. So most often you see this on e-commerce websites, and that's just another form of your journey, your Visio that I would say. You know, here's our website, men's clothing, jeans. So you're just going down the categories, kind of tells it's a path to where you are for the user. Search engines love them. Canonicalization. I hear this all the time and not many people know. Basically, to make it super simple, canonicalization is just duplicate content on your website. So Google doesn't like to see duplicate content. So Google likes you to have one piece of content. You might have a page that says, hey, this is about, I don't know, technical SEO. And then you might have written a blog about technical SEO. So Google come through, see these two pages with technical SEO. Which one does it preference? Too hard, I just won't rank any of them. So this is just a process to say, hey, this one's the master, this one's the slave. That's all you're telling Google. And these are becoming less important over time as well. Technical SEO, best practices. So really monitor your websites, use all the tools that we've just given you and we've talked about today. Any questions, feel free to contact me, District 32. I'm in the CBD circle, or come along. I forget the rules, so ask Dean. But monitor your performance, track your metrics. That's really what it's about. I mean, it's your website. You've got to care about it the most. There is a point when you're optimizing too much. You know, if you're chasing that 99 out of 100, pointless. You know, you've got to be pragmatic about results as well. But you definitely want to be above 90 is what I would say. The journey of SEO. Nothing happens overnight like a good Pantene commercial, but it will happen. So slowly, we're trying to fix one little problem at a time with the goal of, again, getting ahead of our competitors. There is, if anybody says, look, we'll rank you to the first page of Google straight away, or they're lying, unless you are so niche that nobody else have your keywords. But yeah, be very wary. It takes time, it takes effort, unfortunately. But the benefits, improved search visibility, and with improved, you'll be on, you know, the goal is to get to the first page of Google. Anybody on the first page of Google, I say it's like free money. That's where the traffic will start to come from. Your users will love you because the experience on your website is going to be so much better. Your search engine, yeah, your rankings will be higher. Bounce rates. Bounce rates are another term. Bounce rate is when somebody comes to your website, don't like what they see or the message isn't there, and they leave. So that's a tracked metric. How quickly does a person come to your website and then leave your website? You want the information, or you want, you know, what's in it for me? Kate de Jong is awesome for that. I work with her all the time. And then all that will be increased organic traffic and conversions, which in a downturn is what you want. You know, when times are good, do your paid advertising and do your organic SEO. Organic SEO is the best thing you can do for your business, but it's probably the most costly and probably the longest term to see a result from, but it's the best thing. It's when times are tough, it'll keep your business in the purview of Google. On that note, this is me here on the right. And if you enjoyed the webinar, consider a Google review. No pressure.